What is up, my dudes? Welcome back to Storytime with the Reddit Fairy. My name is Lorna, and today we're gonna be getting into some r/petty revenge. So, I lost my job yesterday. Funny story. Not gonna get into it, but I really just wanted to get into reading some revenge stories for this reason. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. This one's called Roommate Won't Flush the Toilet. No one knows why. Posted by user Tier 1 Tech Support. Oh, right in the field. Okay, let's go. Back in college, I shared a one-bedroom apartment with two other roommates. Yes, it was cramped, but since we were all starving students, living 3-to-1 apartment wasn't that uncommon. There were 3 beds in the bedroom, a bunk and 1 single, and there were 3 desks out in the sitting room. We all had to share 1 bathroom and 1 kitchen. One of my roommates had this stupid, unexplainable habit of getting up in the middle of the night to piss in the toilet but not flush it. No one knew why. It was just something he didn't do. Anyway, you can imagine our disgust when the 2 of us other roommates woke up in the morning and going to the toilet to see it filled with his urine from the night before that he didn't flush. Dude, why don't you flush the toilet after you use it? We'd ask him. I don't know, he'd say. I forgot. Or, I didn't want to make a loud noise. Or, I was sleepwalking. Or some other lame excuse. So this goes on for a couple of weeks. Not every night, thankfully, and sometimes he was the first to get up, so he had to deal with it himself. But one day, while he's gone, my other roommate and I are bitching about him, and we hatch a plan. That night, after No Flush, our nickname for him, goes to sleep, we take a sheet of plastic wrap and very carefully wrap the toilet with it so that it is perfectly stretched over the bowl. It was totally transparent. Then we went to bed. Later that night, we were awakened to screams of, "Oh my God, what is happening?" And "Who the fuck did this?" Sweet revenge. After that, not only did he always flush the toilet after using it, he stopped waking up in the middle of the night to use it. Update. All I can say after reading the comments is that there are a lot of conversationists on Reddit. I'd like to remind everyone that there were 3 of us and we did try to ask No Flush to change his habit. It was 2-to-1. 2/3 supermajority. But he didn't want to go along with us because I guess he doesn't believe in democracy or something. And he was like this with other stuff too, not just this toilet thing. So to those insinuating that he was being considerate, he wasn't. I also admit that I'm a writer, so I may have stylized the story for sake of humor. But the rules are that the story must be true and petty. Not that it makes sense or it would sound nice/PC. I thank you in advance for reading this story for what it is, not as an affront to conversationists, but just as a funny story about a bunch of dumb 19 to 20-year-olds, which the 3 of us all were. I don't know why I don't want to read the comments because I like this story and I don't want anyone to ruin it for me. So I think it's a good way. If you've talked to him, if you've talked to them and they don't want to change what they're doing, then they deserve it. That's all I have to say. There was someone at my old job now that was pissing on the toilet seat, and there was literally a urinal right next to the toilet. And I'm just like, why? Just use the fucking urinal. Like, you're a dude. Just use it. Why are you inconveniencing me? And then you don't fucking clean it up after? Just gross. Inconsiderate pricks. 50 pounds of messy revenge on terrible customers. Posted by user say_what. Context. I used to work at the farm supply store, and there were cashiers and loaders who would put the heavy bags of grain and whatnot. The loader in this story we'll call Steve. I'm on mobile, so sorry for my text wall. We had a lot of nasty customers come into where I worked. A lot of the other cashiers would just put up with entitled, rude, and sexist people, but Steve, our fucking savior, did not. Most of the grain bags we sold were 50 pounds or more. In the event of a nasty customer, Steve would use his pocket knife to put a small tear in the bags. Small enough not to be noticed, but big enough to completely come apart if the bag was picked up a certain way. He would load the bags into the customers' cars and wait. Eventually, we would get a call saying that when they took the bags out of their trunks, the bags split and they now had 50 pounds of grain everywhere. We would respond that we could not, in fact, do a return on a product since they need at least 50% of the product to take it back. I no longer work there, and neither does Steve. Honestly, he was one of the only reasons I stayed there as long as I did. Edit. Thank you so much for the silver. I love these little petty revenge stories. It's just mildly inconveniencing or mildly infuriating. That's like, I'm sure Tim Hortons employees do a lot of this little petty revenge stuff, and I totally understand why they would do it, because I've seen some people be so nasty to those people that work there, and I'm just like, just like, add a little bit of extra sugar than they asked for or something. Just do a little tweak just to throw off the karma for their day. I'm in one of those moods. Whatever, let's keep going. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Posted by user Colorado Flyer. Apologies if this belongs elsewhere. This was a long time ago, in a galaxy or state far, far away. My stepmother at the time was a woman who was part of a large church that is headquartered in Utah. Suffice it to say, this woman was interesting. She forbade anyone from drinking caffeinated beverages and would throw away any sodas she found, even Sprite, despite the fact that it has 0 caffeine. She refused to buy anything that could be considered a treat, such as cookies, except for herself. She continually had missionaries come to the house and try to get me to convert to her belief system. I was pretty firm in my beliefs at the time, so I enjoyed the debates I had with the missionaries. She, of course, thought I was being blasphemous and said she would pray for my soul and would have my father baptized into her church after he died. Who knew you could anoint cadavers? We had many disagreements over things, and I enlisted in the army to get out of that situation as soon as I graduated high school. While I was at basic training, Fort Lost in the Woods, state of misery, my father had apparently realized he was married to an interesting person and told her it was the best if they went their separate ways. He thought it would be amicable. Boy, was he wrong. He came home the next week to find she had taken almost everything out of the house. The brand new car my father had bought with his bonus and moved into an apartment, spending all the money in their account. My father was left with a 15-year-old station wagon they had bought to move. When I finished training, I came home on leave before reporting to my first duty station, and my father picked me up at the airport in a beater station wagon. I asked why he was driving this car, and he told me that apparently possession was 9/10 of the law at that time, so it looked like it would stay that way. He was rather bitter about it, of course, and decided to show me the luxury apartment she was living in at the time. We drove by the place. It was very nice. 3 pools, a sauna, tennis courts, all the bells and whistles. All of a sudden, my father slammed on the brakes. There was his brand new Chrysler LeBaron convertible. I told you this was long ago. He said, "I still have a key to that on my key ring." You can see where this is going. He parked the station wagon next to the LeBaron and checked. The key still worked. So we quickly transferred everything out of the station wagon into the LeBaron, transferred everything from the LeBaron into the station wagon, and drove away in the LeBaron. When the divorce was finalized a few months later, my father kept the LeBaron. That's awesome. I didn't realize that was like a real thing. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Is that real? Is that an American thing, or is that even in Canada? I don't know. I'm not a political guru, but I'm always interested to learn. So, what? That's crazy. Good thing. I'm glad he got it back. This next one's called Your Music versus Mine, posted by user Vomit My Soul. Several years back, I was living in an apartment in a relatively quiet complex. I had dropped my ex-girlfriend at work and was looking forward to a possible nap, or at least some quiet laziness, around 7 to 8 a.m., and I was off that day. I get back and the neighbors are blasting music, as in late night party volume. After about 30 minutes of this, I felt irritated. I figured I'd play guitar. I have a half-stack guitar amp with 4 10-inch speakers, which can be played quietly, but obviously can be cranked up and get pretty loud. Well, I couldn't really hear my guitar with their music playing, so I turned it up. ATW? Mine doesn't get quite to 11. Faced the amp towards their wall and set the guitar by my amp, letting it get feedback. Left my apartment and got a nice cold michelada and went back after an hour. Sorry, other neighbors, collateral damage. All I could hear all the way from the parking lot was from my amp. Did that that probably sounded awful. Oh, my dude. I know that sound very well from the many times I've practiced, played live. My own mic's feeding back. Oh, that is an awful, awful sound. I made a kid get 0% on his test, posted by user Cheeseboy. So, there's this kid in my class who is a grade above us because he keeps failing. Before a test, he gets sat next to me. He says out loud, "Fuck yeah, I'm next to Cheese Boy." That day, I wasn't feeling exactly generous, so I came up with a scheme. I was gonna put all the wrong answers on the test, then after he turns it in, change all the answers and hand mine in. The teacher passed out the test and started my bullshittery. I got to the very end and waited. He got up and handed the test in. I quickly erased everything and answered correctly, then handed it in. It is now a week later, and we got our tests back. I got 100%. I lean over to see that he got 52%. I did it. I had ruined this kid. After he saw my grade, this dumbass, I shit you not, asked the teacher for a retry because I had the wrong answers that he copied. The teacher looked at him and just said, "If you copied, then your grade will enter as a 0%. TLDR, kid tries to cheat, gets F, rats self out to teacher about cheating." That's good. That is really good. What a dummy. Oh my god. And that kid will probably end up managing an IT help desk somewhere someday and being a fucking bully. Okay, I'm bitter. I admit it. Okay, let's go to the next one. Steal from me? You'll, I guess, regret it? Well, you'll have to buy a new calculator anyway. Posted by user Cyanide is Everywhere. Okay then, so my school has a bit of a black market, and students usually hang around the gate selling stuff like sweets and Pokemon cards. There was this one kid, SK, that everyone went to if they lost their stationery. Now, I lost a pencil. Nothing much apart from the fact that it was a mechanical one that had cost me around 10 pounds. A bit much, I know, but a pretty good quality. With all my stuff, I mark them with a little drawing that signifies that it's mine, though it's pretty hard to notice. I noticed that it was missing in the maths lesson that SK so happened to bump into me and let my pencil case spill. I went to him after school and guess what? He had it. I told him it was mine and he told me it was his. I showed him the insignia. Still nothing. He was selling it for 5 pounds, but I had only about 3 pounds. In the end, another kid bought it. The next day, I brought my wallet and asked the kid if I could buy it. He asked for 7 pounds. I now had paid 17 pounds for a mechanical pencil. I wasn't very pleased. Not at all. The next day, he bumped into someone, and I happened to be nearby. His pencils dropped everywhere, and so did his calculator. I took it and decided to mess it up. I changed the contrast and made it practically illegible, and just for good measure, I changed it to SCI. In maths, I gave it back to him saying I had seen it on the floor. He turned it over and thought it was off. He then realized what had happened and tried to roll with it. Then he got confused by the SCI. He couldn't even turn it back on as he didn't know how to. He asked me and I told him to pay 17 pounds. He tried to haggle and I just ignored him. The next few lessons, he had no calculator. He finally got one 5 days later, all over the fact that you shouldn't steal. No, you shouldn't. I don't like thieves either. Thieves and liars and cheaters and stealers and I don't like any of those people. Just be a good person. Be honest. Anyway, that was good. You gave him a taste of his own medicine, so I like it. I like it. Best friend tries to blackmail me to my L.E.O. dad. Posted by user Duval Sanitarium. This happened when we were juniors together in a new high school with my supposed best friend, Joey Bag of Donuts. Now, Joey Bag of Donuts and I used to get into some good old-fashioned boys will be boys trouble. Huge bike ramps, fireworks, makeshift bombs, bonfires were common occurrences throughout our middle school years. We were thick as thieves. This all changed our freshman year of high school. Before we'd joke around, now his jokes were at my expense. Those first few months were rough, with my best friend turning into my bully, but I eventually found a new crew to hang with and things were looking up. My new buddies were your stereotypical stoner, surfer types, and were well known for it across campus. Of course, Joey Bag of Donuts must have taken note as I started to get texts asking me to hook him up with some bud. At this juncture, I still want to make amends with a lifelong best friend and invite him over for a smoke. We bond over both discovering and loving weed, reconcile, and things are seemingly back on track. I introduced Joey Bag of Donuts to my new crew and things are off to the races. Our friendship seems to be good. We don't hang out nearly as much as we both have our own jobs, sports, hobbies, college prep, etc., but as far as I knew, things were great. Homecoming is fast approaching, and I got the courage to ask out a member of our crew, Jamie. She said yes. Next day, I have Joey Bag of Donuts track me down at my locker, getting in my face for asking out his woman. I was a bit taken aback because why would Jamie had said yes if they were dating? Well, it turns out that Joey Bag of Donuts has never even spoken to her, let alone ask her to homecoming, but he had this whole homecoming proposal thing worked up. I told him to pound sand. He acted like he was going to fight me and told me to watch my back. I think things are settled until I get home from work later that evening. As I mentioned in the title, my dad was a county sheriff at the time. It was my dad, one of his cop buddies, Joey Bag of Donuts, and Joey Bag of Donuts' dad sitting at the kitchen table. I walk into some bullshit story of Joey Bag of Donuts being concerned that I was addicted to weed and was planning on making weed brownies for homecoming. What a little shit. Now, I'm not a moron, so it's nothing but deny coming out of my mouth. I had no herb or pipes in the house, so I know I'm good. Well, it goes back and forth like this for a bit, and then a drug test gets brought up. I call his bluff. If I go down, Joey Bag of Donuts goes down too. So I tell my dad I'm good with the drug test as long as Joey Bag of Donuts takes one too. At this point, Joey Bag of Donuts exclaims something I'll never forget because he seemed so sure of himself that he found a loophole to getting in trouble for smoking pot. I don't smoke it, I just sell it. L.M.A.O. I could not hold it in. He admits that in front of 2 county sheriffs and his dad. That's how my best friend ended up attending an all-boys boarding school his senior and remaining of junior year. I never did have to take that drug test and went to homecoming. However, me and my dad sat me down and not only talked about marijuana, but also the 4th and 5th Amendments. What a dummy. Oh, it's stupid that it's even illegal, to be honest, but for a kid, yes, it definitely should be. Oh my god, what? Wow, wow. Yikes. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what to say about this. Wow. Karen demands her price. Posted by user Ms. Chach88. Maybe this does not classify as revenge, but I think it's close enough. Years ago, I worked selling furniture. Horrible woman comes in, demanding, condescending, rude, and entitled. She finally found a piece she liked in our clearance section. The price was marked at $599. She demanded it for $550 and that we pay all the taxes on said item. Our sale was to pay the taxes on said item, 6% where I live. She starts yelling at me that I better find a manager to do my job, and she will get this price because she knows a lot of people that work there. Senior level management / owners, she claimed. My uncle owned the company. So I excuse myself to go find my manager and see how much he wants to entertain Karen. We start looking up the item. The price tag on the item was old. The current price was down to $477. So guess who thought she won while paying the $550? If she would have been even a slightly decent human being towards me, it would have saved her more money. This belongs, OP, if you ever see this, this belongs in r/asshole tax, because she totally just pays the asshole tax for, being an asshole. You should definitely cross-post this there. I like it. Tell paramedics to wait for the next elevator? I don't think so. Posted by user TalonCard815. This happened years ago when I worked in a major city as a paramedic. There were numerous hotels that were converted into a cross between Section 8, welfare housing, and homeless shelters. These places were like magnets for medical issues because the people there did not take care of themselves and used the ambulances and emergency rooms like doctors. We get a call there, potential heart attack, and get our escort. Staff from the shelter always came with us to show us where the room was and assist us. As we approach the elevators, there are 2 on the floor and open, so I say, "Hold the elevator!" In one, someone looked at us and shrugged. In the other, the guy stuck his head out and said, "Take the next one, I'm in a hurry." Okay, no problem. I pull out my keyring and check the fire access key type and insert said key. It brings all the elevators to the ground floor. PD has now joined us, and Mr. In a Hurry is looking like, what the fuck just happened? My partner yells, "Everyone out! You can use the stairs!" Mr. In a Hurry says he ain't getting out. So PD says, "Are you deaf or stupid? Get out!" So he finally exits and says, "What do I do now?" My partner says, "The stairs work. You are in a hurry." We get in the elevator and our escort says, "That was the most awesome thing I have seen here." We held the elevators for 20 minutes and left with our patient. Mr. In a Hurry was waiting for us, and the escort told him if he says one word, he would be thrown out. Quick explanation of how the fire key works. You insert the key and turn to emergency service. You then take the key out. All the elevators return to the ground floor. You take your elevator and insert the key in that keyhole and can make the elevator an express elevator, and it will stay on whatever floor you are on. When you are done, turn it back to regular service in the elevator and then back at the main fire service one. The main fire service one is only on the ground floor. TLDR. Don't tell people that can control the elevators to wait for the next one in an emergency. That's pretty awesome. I like these stories. I think I like petty revenge stories more than pro revenge. I might have said that before, but, well, that just means that I really do. Somebody tried to stand in a parking spot to hold it so they could move closer. Posted by user Mr_Kerfuffle. First time post in this thread. Not great with grammar, so please forgive me. I was reading through this thread and it jogged my memory. One afternoon, around 5 p.m., around 105 degrees, relevant later, in the US, my wife, my in-laws, my 2 kids and I are packed in a parking lot outside of a little market. There also happened to be a fair going on at the same time. There being so many of us, we had to take 2 vehicles. That being said, my mother-in-law is handicapped and has the parking that comes along with it. However, there was no open handicap spots available, so I found 2 parking spots, one being closer than the other. I took the parking spot furthest away so they could park as close as possible, so she wouldn't have to walk far. She has a bad back. As I parked, a woman got out of the passenger seat of a parked car further down and walked up to the open parking spot and took her stance. My in-laws tried pulling into the parking spot, and the woman would not move. So I did the only reasonable thing you can do in that situation. I stood behind my in-laws' car and in front of the other woman's car, whom the lady was standing waiting for. She yelled at me to move, so I calmly said no, you can't hold that parking spot and she needs to move. She yelled some more and refused to budge, so I did the best thing I could. I told them I have all day, and I sat in the middle of the parking lot in front of that car in the blistering heat. After about 2 minutes of me sitting there with the woman trying to hold the parking spot, finally moved so my in-laws could park there. Man, was my ass on fire, but it was 100% worth it as she walked away pissed off. And to make matters better, she lost her other parking spot, and I'm pretty sure they had to park a lot further than they already were. Edit. Thank you for the gold and silver. Did not think that this was going to happen, and I appreciate it. You gotta love just some plain old petty stubbornness. But no, that's not even... She deserved it. Like, I'm tired of people who think that they can reserve a spot without a vehicle to reserve it. Like, no, that's not how it works. That means you were not there first. So, I've seen like public freakout videos of people doing this, and it would be a dangerous situation to be in, because I think after a while you'd be real triggered to just push on that gas pedal. But no. No murder today, ladies and gentlemen. That's not a good idea. The school janitor wouldn't let me throw up in the bathroom, so I threw up on the floor and watched him clean it up. Posted by user Spicy Hash Browns. Back in high school, it was final exam week. I was very ill, but I had to pull through the day. I threw up every hour on the hour. There was only one bathroom on each floor for students. It sucked major ass because you usually had to walk far to go. I felt okay after puking for the millionth time, but that soon faded after 20 minutes, so I go sprinting for the bathroom. Everyone is in class or taking exams, so the hall is free and clear. Well, the janitor decided that this was the time to clean the bathrooms. While he's cleaning one bathroom, he locks the other bathroom for some reason. I tried to use the girls' bathroom, and he stood in the way. I told him I had to throw up, and he said, "Do it somewhere else," and blocked the door. The boys' restroom was locked, so I leaned over the trash can attached to his cleaning cart. He yelled at me and shooed me away. I was pissed and couldn't hold it anymore, so I threw up on the floor 15 feet down the hallway. I probably dragged a good splash of vomit 10 feet down the hall. The vice principal came out of the office as this was happening. She was actually my English teacher for years before she became vice principal, so we were close. She took me to her office and cleaned me up. I told her what happened, and she made him clean up my puke. I watched from the office, and then she fired him on the spot. He had been an asshole to multiple students. My experience was the last straw, apparently. Holy, how are you so freaking heartless to a child? That's fucked. He deserved to lose his job. That's fucked up, man. Like, nope. I'm glad he got fired. That's all I can say about that. That's not right. Okay. Anyway, let's get into it. Parked halfway in my bay? Hope you don't mind pushing trolleys. Posted by user Caliphant. So, this just happened. I bought some groceries and was bringing them back to my car. And whilst I was in the shopping center, some asshole did a really shit parking job and parked so close to my car that I couldn't get in. I was mulling away at it while I packed my groceries into the back seat. Now that my trolley is empty, I think this should be the perfect time for me to leave my trolley behind his car. But that's not enough either. There was a parking bay empty in front of his car, so I put one at the front bumper too, just for good measure. I then got into my car via the passenger door and managed to not hit either of our cars as I reversed out and left. That was like very, very light petty. Oh, people. Like, if you can't even park your car correctly, how did you get your license? You know, these are the things I wonder. All right, my dudes, I hope you enjoyed that video. I absolutely missed you guys. I think I might have some more time to be recording. Maybe, depending on how long it takes me to find another job. So, you never know. There might be a new video every day for a little bit. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please, by all means, hit that like button. Comment if you didn't. If you dislike it, I want to know why. Like, I want to make this video better for you guys, like more enjoyable. Constructive criticism is always welcome, my dudes. I just want to make content that people want to watch. That's all. I love listening to stories, so I'm just trying to do a platform, you know, something that other people like me like to listen to, watch. I'm not great at video editing, but I'm trying. So if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. And as always, if you're new here, you can hit the subscribe button to be notified when I have future videos just like this, so you never miss one. And as always, the links to these stories will be in the description. So head on over to Reddit and show those users some love, because you know they deserve it. You know that they do. And while you're in the enchanted land of Reddit, head on over to r/RedditFairy and post your story, because you never know, it just might show up in the next video. So until next time, my dudes, I will be job hunting. Stay cool.